So really warm welcome to you all. It's so lovely to see you. I know we have at least England and France. Rex, I don't know where you're from, but
I'm in
UK.
Scotland. Yeah.
Scotland, wow, beautiful. It's one thing I really so love about being able to work online is that we really, yeah, can reach around the globe. So really warm welcome to Embodying the Snake. Well, it's an introduction. We have an hour together, and it really is an intro and a taste to snake medicine. I will share about how I came to snake medicine, how I understand it to be. There will be also a slideshow showing more about the historic background, how snakes have been revered all over the globe, and a little practical exercise. So yeah, I hope it will be nourishing. And also really important, there will be a Q&A, and that's always a yummy space. I really welcome questions. So yeah, so my name is Eva Weber. I'm based near Brighton, and yeah, I wear different hats. So I'm a writer of historic fiction and poetry, erotica, and also historically come from art therapy and performance, and worked in conscious sexuality and still do. I'm also a shamanic practitioner, working with Claire on alchemy of worlds. Um, So I mention all those as well because for me, I feel my life path has been actually quite snaky. It's not been straightforward at all, and I see that very much in my work as well. So, and also I mention it because I feel when I really look now with the lens of what the snakes bring, that all of those areas, snake has a lot to tell us and teach us. So around embodiment, around sexuality, snake is shamanic ally. um, so yeah, so that's brief introduction from me. And so looking back, I think snake has been with me all my life, and I do believe in past lives, and I feel, there's a long thread where snake's been with me. But in this life, yeah, from being really fascinated by the big boas when I was taken to the zoo, to having dreams of snakes when I was a child and an adolescent. And I remember when I handled the first time a snake, it was a small snake called Alchemy. It was completely black. And when this snake was snaking around I think it was the upper arm, I just started crying. There was something really visceral about maybe remembering that sensation. And there was just such a beauty and a sweetness transmitted that really touched me. And then as a young adult, I traveled to Crete, and some of you might know this figurine. um, the archaeologists who wrote about it said it's a snake goddess. So it's a small figurine. It's just when you see it in real, it's just like tall like that. And it was found in the palace of Knossos. Um, and it took me many years to understand. I don't think this is a goddess as such, but a snake priestess, and that there is an unbroken lineage of people who have been working really intimately with the snakes for healing and transmutation and sexuality and a lot of other things. And so when I first saw this figurine, again, it was a very visceral reaction I had of, yeah, I can just describe it as a remembering of some kind. So it's been a long, long path. And then just in the past, probably 7, 8 years, I started to dive deeper into snake medicine. What is this about? What can snake teach us? And I feel over the years, some of the things that snakes supported me with was to feel more embodied in in myself, in my beingness. Also to connect more with my sensual side and supported my sexual expression, helped me to open more to my intuition, be in touch with the mystery. I feel snake is very much about the mystery and supporting us to keep that in mind, that ultimately life is pretty mysterious. And a big teaching is about change. I think I found change always very, very difficult, and maybe now in my older years, and with the support of snake, I'm getting more and more comfortable with embracing change as the only constant, really. um so but what is snake medicine? I'm already using the word here. You might think, well, what is it all about? So for me, snake medicine, first of all, is everything we can learn from the actual snakes, the snakes that slither around on this earth. So what we can see through observation, how they live, how they move, how they breed, um, how they move with the cycles. And the other part of snake medicine is what we can learn from the symbolism of, we might call that the serpent. So the snake that's been revered all over the globe for millennia. And in probably the past 2,000 years, has had that huge shift to being demonized and vilified. Which, when we think of the longer picture, is actually a relatively short time. But that's where we often still, well, it's often the first thing I meet in people when I mention snake, is that fear or that sense of danger. So, but when we look at snake that's been found all over the planet, we see that there were many, many traditions. So we have temples in Egypt, many African countries, China, India, the Americas, and Europe, where snakes were revered. And we know this from temples, from places where they've been carved or painted. And there, really, snake was so connected with cyclical living, with the big mysteries of life. So death and rebirth, but also sexuality, and many, many creation myths. So creativity also been a very big part. You might have heard of or seen the staff of Asclepius. So this is the one staff with the snake around, which is still a healing symbol, but equally the caduceus, so the two snakes that snake around a staff. And the staff of Asclepius really goes back to ancient Greece, where we really found the first hospitals, which were the Asclepian temples, where people who had ailments, I think mainly physical, but who knows, maybe mental as well, were coming. And the main treatment, as we think, was to be tended to in a physical way, maybe massage, but also to dream in the dark with the snakes. So there were snakes among people, and people were encouraged to sleep and dream. And priestesses and priests were there to help people interpret the dreams. So it's a long, long history of snake also being connected with healing. And so for me, snake medicine is also about reclaiming now this ancient wisdom and seeing how is this relevant for our time. And so it could mean, living more in harmony and in tune with our inner cycles instead of constantly pushing ourselves and thinking we're just, machines that can work linear and walk linear. And what I mentioned about change, one beautiful thing that snake teaches is that shedding is not a one-off thing. They really shed regular, and they shed because they grow, and they also shed for hygiene so that parasites can't stay. And I feel this is super relevant for us today to really tap in, feel into what does need letting go so we can move into our new skin. Snakes teach us very much about boundaries as well. It's been only probably the past year and a half or 2 years that I attended more to poisonous snakes as well. By attending to, I mean reading and learning. And I feel, snakes like the rattlesnake and the cobra or the black mamba, they teach us how, that embodiment, the cobra raises up and enlarges the hood. There's a setting of boundaries. Snakes never want to harm. In fact, their poison is very precious to them. But they will stand their ground, and I feel there's really a lot we can learn from that. So I'm going to show you a few slides while I keep talking. So for me, it is a path. So it's becoming a path, snake medicine, that can support us in our healing, to drop more deeply into embodiment, in our creativity and sexuality, and support us in cyclical living. I haven't mentioned, but some of you know, I do live with a beautiful snake called Sid. He's a royal python. I used to have two. I used to have another python called Mist, who's sadly passed, but is still always with me in spirit. And on many days, I sit in the morning and just tune in and write as a first sentence, and thus speak the snakes, and let come what comes. And very much the snakes often speak of for us to open ourselves to the teachings that want to come through. And so for me, in my work with snake medicine now, that's the invitation for people. Let's open ourselves to what snake can teach us. This is a beautiful image of my late snake Mist. So as I mentioned, the aspect that's most known probably when people mention snake is that of transformation, because it is a real miracle and mystery that shedding of the snake. So in my last intro, Sid was in a different phase, so I could bring him into the session and introduce him. And I'd had hoped that he would have shed by now, but he hasn't. In fact, he's really deeply right now into a place of retreat and slothing. And it's, yeah, it never ceases to amaze me, that process. So it's cyclical as well. And when the shed is good, you can see here the eye caps, everything is shed. Snake invites us really to become as alive and embodied as we can. And for me, there's very big connection with strength and power as well. This is another image of the same figurine that I showed. So how can we embody power? Because something I feel I've learned over the years, that our true seat of power is when we're connected with our bodies. And I had a lifelong journey really with embodiment, because it was never easy for me to really be in my body. And I feel snakes really helping me even deeper. Also the setting of boundaries and to face fears. There's a beautiful king cobra there. And this is another figurine that was found in Crete amongst the other statuettes that I showed you. We don't really know how those sacred rites and how they worked with snakes. They're theories, because the eyes are quite trance-like, that the snakes they worked with might have been vipers, and they might have been letting themselves bite and going into trance. But we know there was a very intimate connection between them and the snakes. These are from an West African country. Again, what strikes me is that, those powerful places, but also that intimate connection of snake and human, that is, so old. And I mentioned sensuality and sexuality. They're really, I think they're two really important aspects. If we observe snake, it's often that very sensualness we can get in touch with. And you might have heard of the energy of Kundalini as well, that energy that is coiled at the base of our spine, and through different energy practices can be awakened. So I feel there's been a very natural connection between sensuality, sexuality, and the snake. And of course, through patriarchy and religion, that connection's been really given a very different, a demonization. And so I feel when we're on the journey of reclaiming our sexuality, be it individually or collectively, snake has a lot to offer us there as well. And then, like I mentioned, another big aspect is that of healing. It's a beautiful picture. I treasure that forever, of my dear friend Bayari with my deer snake, Mist. She looks a bit like a dragon there as well. So and this is a very ancient cave drawing, which I imagine points more to, the snake as a shamanic ally. The picture of Asclepion and Hygeia with the snake, Asclepion with the staff. And yeah, within creativity, like I mentioned, there's so many myths around creation that have the snake at the very base, the very core of it. And I think because snake really teaches us about life force, this really embodied life force. We find snake everywhere. When we open ourselves, when we tap in, we find snake in so many places in our body. It's a whole session just around that, but also in nature. And for me, snake's very much connected to the mystery of life and the mysteries of life and death, regeneration. Played a really big part in alchemy. And like I mentioned, snake can be a really powerful shamanic ally. And I run some shamanic snake medicine workshops, and it's always so moving and touching how snake shows up in all sorts of different forms with just the right teachings. And like a friend said, you know, snake medicine is not for the faint-hearted. So snake can be like my beautiful snake mist had the most exquisitely sweet energy, and yet often snake comes into our lives and our teachings. Yeah, because there is power to reclaim, there are boundaries to be set, there are things to shed. So it's powerful medicine. The Ouroboros is one of my favorite symbols. It's the snake who bites its tail. For me, this is very much about completion and evolution. For me, also, a snake is a beautiful ally in transcending dualities. Snake really holds dualities and transcends them beautifully. This would be one example around gender, you know, because if we look at Freud, he connected snake very much with the phallic. If snake opens her mouth or their mouth, you know, it's so, yeah, brings very much home the shape of a vulva. And then of course within the movements. So yeah, for me that's a very interesting aspect of snake as well. And so now I want to invite you to lean back. I'm going to play a slideshow I've made a while ago that shows how a snake showed up throughout history, and see whether you can just, yeah, take that in. And after that, I invite you to, if you have pen and paper, or just be with your thoughts and feelings around that. So I'm just gonna come out of here and see if I can share. So it's got some sound, but it never shows up very well. So if you don't hear anything, that's that's okay. If you hear something. Sachidanand Parabrahma
Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samvita Shri Bhagavati Namaha. Om Sachidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samvita Shri Bhagavati Namaha. Om Sachidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samvita Shri Bhagavati Namaha. Sachidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samvita Shri Bhagavati Namaha. Sachidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samvita Shri Bhagavati Namaha. Om Sachidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samhita Shri Bhagavate Namaha. Om Sachidan Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samhita Shri Bhagavate Namaha. Om Sachidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samhita Shri Bhagavate Namaha. Om Sachidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samhita Shri Bhagavate Namaha. Shri Bhagavati Samhita Shri Bhagavate Namaha.
So I just wanted to offer you a few minutes with yourselves, either if you have a notebook, pen and paper to drop in, do a bit of free writing, or just give space. Maybe there was a particular aspect that touched you. Maybe it was one image. And hold the time. So just about 3-4 minutes. So just take another moment to bring that to a close. And then I have one more invitation. I'm going to play one song. It's just 2.5 minutes long. So much about snake for me is about embodying. So see whether any of this that's moved in you wants to move. And you can totally stay seated and do that in really small ways. I'm just going to put on one song and we can have the camera on or off, but just let's let something move.
Svirrar i døy, kjære han låst i hat. Næstan i velgirta, bjeiva tja gjella hin. Donai pasha tavas, mun huvidan mättäs. Ton halidit tavas, mun jadin mättäs. Kaskia päivädaki, jäävetsän hieja hidet. Täpkäi vuol vuottasan, hätächan uodiha. Tom kirtasa tjeukan, mun säunjadin nädän. Tuupiap maada mätti, mun leitsit antovin. Kärre handu suojat, muutsuki saatostit. Näste ole min tuopistan, itjandu miedustan. Ton vahtara hiia, säunja mu solodan. Tuai mu kuotasan, iena mu vuhtoda.
So welcome back. And before we do the intro, I'd just love to show you a few ways if you're interested, you can work with me with snake medicine. So be one-to-one sessions, I run day retreats. Sessions can be in person at my beautiful nest here. This is my cabin temple I am at the moment. But also online, I have found that, you know, we can really, a lot of things really transmit beautifully online. I do all day retreats here. And I'm starting a 6 month mentorship program you can chat with me about if you're interested. And coming up, some of you know Bayari. We're running a beautiful snake medicine retreat. It's non-residential this year, but we'll be here in the temple in October 18th to the 21st. And yeah, what I wanted to share a bit more of is my upcoming 8-week online program. It's a really beautiful, yummy program. It was 6 weeks, and we've extended it to bringing some more themes. And I have for beautiful guest speakers as well, who are really, yeah, working really deeply with some aspects. So Sarah Applinger is working with body positivity and embodiment. Juliana will hold a session with me on sexuality. Claire will bring in the snake as shamanic ally. And Bayari will come in on the theme of healing. And you can find out more. I'm gonna send a link to the actual 8-week course as well. And to mention, if you want to come on the course, it's usually 333 for the 8 weeks. And I'm giving a special price to 222. And so today is the 22nd, and because some people are watching the replay, this will be until the 24th. So I always offer payment plans as well. So chat with me if you're interested in that. But I wanted to mention that now. So if you have, questions as well in the Q&A, please do ask me. So that's from me right now. A little introduction to snake medicine. I'd love to hear any questions or comments, or what touched you? Why are you here? Anything. Yeah. So we have good 10 minutes for that part. Yeah. Try again.
Driving mode.
Yay. Here you go. No picture, but
oh no, what's happening? Yeah, thank you for reminding me that this was on today. I know we've had an intriguing connection over several years now and never even met yet. But yeah, it was really intriguing to write down after the visuals that you put, and all these really profound snake connections, either directly or in the astral, like through dreams or visions. And yeah, and I've always loved snakes. Always loved snakes. I went actively seeking them when I lived in Australia, and yeah, even got chased down the beach by a king brown once after it telepathically communicated with me. That was definitely one of my best experiences ever.
wow.
Yeah, it was like, wow, I feel alive now. But definitely a lot of snake stuff coming up. As you're aware, I've been in Egypt lately, and the snake symbology just stood out. It was like all of it was in relief for me. A lot of symbology there and connection. And Medusa, interestingly, has come into our sphere of awareness a lot lately. And Andrew just coined it in a phrase. Then it was like, yeah, maybe a woman who was in so much command of the snakes, was vilified kind of thing. She had too much power. But yeah, I've just felt that the story that's been told about her for years now has not been the truth, and there was another aspect to it. And it's like, how can we take a new perspective on the Medusa story? So yeah, just seeing that imagery there of being persecuted, and yeah, I think there's a lot more to it than that.
Yes.
There always is. Yeah, I would imagine that to be at one with a snake or multiple snakes, particularly having them on your body, on your physical form, not only would affect your movement, which is profoundly powerful. You know, my own journey has been very much about embodiment, but the changes that would create in you energetically as well, to be able to be at peace with that, particularly if they were venomous as well, to be able to sit with them, to become one with them, you know, to communicate with them back and forth, would, I don't want to say would make you powerful, you know, not in some kind of malicious way, but, you know, would create a sense of just, you would just be very, very solid and stable within yourself to be in that place, you know, to spend time with the creatures in that way. So, and that would, people would be, certain people would be fearful of that. So yeah, that very much the future story, I think, and maybe many other things throughout history.
I'd still be fearful to sit with the poisonous snakes.
Yeah,
I think for me there is a really big difference. I really respect them, and I start to really love them for their teachings. But yeah, you know, I'm staying with the constrictors around in terms of the actual contact. But yeah, so much to teach us.
And likewise, I think it's also to share, you know, without suggesting that we are super intelligent, but I think it's that sharing, you know, as well. I love the idea of learning from nature and learning from animals, but also remembering the balance there, you know, that we're not them. So we're not going to behave entirely like them. We're not going to copy all of their behaviors, but they can certainly show us certain things. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's something I really receive at the moment, is this reciprocal nature of the relationship with snakes, because they really need us in some ways, but I think we need them even more, really, as a collective, because we do need a big paradigm shift. And ultimately, I haven't talked much about that here, but ultimately I think that's what snake is bringing, and that's why snake is coming into the collective consciousness more and more, because yeah, our old ways are done, and snake really offers something there, you know, on the very personal level and the collective level of how to do things more sustainable and cyclical. And yeah,
and I think, as you said earlier, even that, just the visceral feeling of having a snake on you, you know, if you want to become embodied, that's a pretty rapid way of becoming embodied.
Indeed.
And that's how we should move, you know, feeling that flow, the way they move is very much related to how we need to move more as humans.
And they command presence and attention. And that's one thing I love about snake, is whether you hate them or love them or anything in between, hardly anyone is indifferent, or you can't be blasé. You know, there's a certain energy that's naturally demanded. And for me, a lot of healing that comes when I observe people handling my snake sit. You know, they might be fearful initially, but very often that changes. And the beauty that comes with that presence, just dropping into the moment and meeting snake there, that's very much where this journey often starts for people.
Yeah, I think you're in the presence of a creature that knows itself and owns itself, if you like.
Yes.
If you can fall into that vibration like people do with horses,
yes,
any animal potentially, but the snake is, I mean, it's a potentially big, powerful creature. It has that. Yeah, it does, like you say, it commands respect.
Yeah.
And if you can meet that vibration, yeah, that's it, isn't it? It brings you to its vibration.
Very much so. I realize I haven't mentioned the themes that we'll be actually working with in the 8 weeks, and for me they sum up really a lot of themes. I just want to mention them. So first week is what we often know about snake is transformation, shedding the old. We will do a beautiful shedding ritual. And the second week will be about aliveness and cyclical living on right timing and good action. The snakes teach a lot about timing as well. You know, things can't be rushed, shedding can't be rushed, digestion can't be rushed.
Yeah.
The third week is about intuition, the mystery, and the snake as shamanic ally, which Claire will bring, will co-run. The next week will be around natural sexual energy and connecting with sensuality. And then one session is about embodying power, which for me is about setting healthy boundaries and how we meet our fears and how we can work with snake there. And there's 1 week on creativity and snake as embodied life force. And then 1 week is on the healing power of snake and what we can, draw from snake there and have snake as a support. And last session will be on everything alchemy, spirituality, embodied spirituality. Because for me, that's one of the beautiful thing about snake is that they're so embodied and yet they're also so cosmic. We see it, you know, my colleague and friend Kwali Kumara, who has a snake sanctuary, she calls them the master meditators, and I think snakes, really are those, you know, really bridging those worlds, which again is something that's so crucial, I think, for us to learn to be fully here in this life and committed to be here and be in our bodies and feeling it all, having the belly to the ground, and yet opening to the mystery, to the cosmos, to spirit. For me, that's, really what they teach me a lot. Yeah. Any other comments, questions? Or observations? You know, for me, it's I've seen these images for a long time, but there's always something I see again or that touches me at that particular moment.
For me, it's exactly that. I saw already, of course, some of the slideshow, and I was really touched by the sweetness. Yeah, really much. I mean, my shamanic allies are snakes. I have several, but they are quite fiercey and dominant, I would say. But in the slides, I really felt that the sweetness much more.
Thank
Mm.
you. Yeah, I could feel that too, and I was very much enjoying seeing Mist again as well, and the sweetness she brought. And for me, this is always such a privilege seeing people handling my snakes, also children, but anyone, and that magic that can happen. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, anything else? Otherwise we'll close. Okay, thank you so much for making time, showing up, learning about snake. And yeah, if you have any questions or anything comes up, please give me an email. I'll send the recording out tomorrow. And yeah, if you want to come on the journey, I would love to have you. And if this spoke to you, also help me share the word, please, and me and the snakes. That would be great. Okay, send you lots of love, gratitude.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Mm.